Hey, real estate rock stars, welcome to the whole enchilada of real estate investing, the only podcast that serves up the full feast of street smart strategies to build wealth and take control of your financial future. I'm Lou Brown, and I've been in the real estate game since 1976, so I've learned how to make the whole plate worth it. Each week, I'll be dishing out creative financing hacks and proven systems that help investors build multi-million-dollar businesses. No fluff, just the good stuff straight from the source. Ready to dig in and start making deals? Let's get to it. Welcome everyone to another edition of the whole enchilada of real estate investing with Lou Brown. And wow, we have some awesome training for you today available to you from an amazing gentleman I just met, Mr. Michael Abraham. Michael, hello, welcome.
Thank you, Lou. I appreciate it. Good to
Yeah,
be here.
baby. Tell us a bit about yourself.
Well, I'm coming to you from Los Angeles. I've been in the real estate game for really only a year, but my background extends far back in the world of building and construction. As a licensed architect, I worked in that side of the business for a number of years, getting familiar with what it takes to build things, get permits, and so forth. Then I switched to another career in which I did a lot of marketing and design for a lot of companies. But during that time, I started buying and investing and holding, basically renovating properties, so duplexes throughout Los Angeles, some single family. So I've done everything from be a super host on Airbnb to being a landlord to buying and renovating homes. And I'm a real advocate. So I decided that my passion is real estate. I believe in it, and I'm here to help people navigate their first time purchase or their 10th purchase.
Man, that sounds like you've been in real estate a lot longer than a year. I think you've been a real estate agent, right? But you've been a real estate investor for a
Yes,
lot
yes.
longer than that. How about that? So I'm loving that, and definitely it's exciting that you have been able to experience that market that you're in and navigate it, and so smart to buy the duplexes where the people on one side are paying enough to cover the mortgage and the other money is yours. And that's when I first learned real estate when I was 8 years old, from my friend, my mother's friend who had bought the duplex she lived in. And she told me the people on the other side paid enough to cover the mortgage and they were living for free. And I said, I got to know more about this.
Yeah, sounds good.
And I was able to buy my first house when I was 18 years old. So
Wow.
that was fun. And it's been a fun ride ever since then. All right, my friend. So you are a quite amazing and varied individual. You bring a lot to the table, especially someone who is looking to maybe invest in real estate. I think it makes a lot of sense, guys, to work with someone who actually knows the business, who speaks your language and sings your song and knows what you're talking about. And when they do, they know what you're looking for and they know what they can bring to the table for you. So that's a great on road to what you're up to. Now, you being now a real estate agent in the real estate agent world, what has that transition been like for you?
Well, ultimately, I committed to it because obviously I still needed to generate revenue for myself. I needed to have an income. My properties aren't enough, and nor am I done investing. So you need two sides of the business. You obviously need money to buy, and then unless you're flipping, you need more money to buy. So there's different strategies. For me, I'm reluctant to sell simply because I believe in LA. I believe it's a market that's going to continue to appreciate, so I'm bullish. And obviously, I have theories now that I've been doing this for a little bit of time, is that when you know what you're going to do with that money when you sell your home, it kind of pulls you through the transaction. If you're unsure, then I don't recommend necessarily doing it. Like, I'm going to move here or I need to downsize. So ultimately, because I have always been interested in it and I believe in real estate as a mechanism to build wealth, which it's been proven over forever. I just now have the time and energy to learn as much as possible, both for myself and for my client and my clients, and I really enjoy it. I really love helping people find a home, and the feedback we get from our clients has been just incredible. I feel like they miss us after the deal's done, and sometimes I feel the same way. But ultimately, it's just that it's a really big thing to navigate, and you want someone you trust to help you go through the process. And that's what we try to do.
That sounds like a plan, man. And definitely there is a big need for what you do, and a lot of people don't know how to navigate that world. So
Yeah.
you're helping them through that process with all your background. That is a terrific thing. Now, you and I were talking earlier about a thing called workforce housing, and I'd
Mhm.
love to know your thoughts about that.
It's really simple. I used to have this idea that if you can't afford to live somewhere, well, boo-hoo. And I've actually changed my mind entirely in the sense that maybe not all of us can live in Bel Air or certain parts of the city because just like, I can't get everything I want, there's an element still housing. I won't say we all need housing. Now, whether or not you own a home, that's secondary. But the fact is, we all need to live somewhere and we want to provide safe, affordable housing where we can. And there's this misconception that cities don't need new people. And if anything, we need them more than ever because they provide benefits both to the city itself for a variety of ways, taxes, what they bring and what they can do. But my simple analogy is this. If you live in a town and you're a janitor and there's only one building to service, you kind of can only do so much. You come to LA and you're good at your job, you can basically work for someone. Eventually, you maybe start your own company. Now you're managing other people, and then you franchise your company. Next thing you know, you went from having no opportunity to selling your company for hundreds of millions of dollars. I mean, there's a guy that actually did something similar with garage doors. Literally, he was going around helping repaint garage doors because it's the best ROI in his mind for a home and also just something people never do. He turned into $1 billion business. And you need garage doors, right? You need properties to be able to grow a business. So that's my long story of why. But the simple answer is we need to build things that will house different people, different stages of their life. Right out of college, do you need a spacious home? No, you need a home that gives you access to opportunity, jobs, and connecting with other people. And then as you move up the ladder, I think most people would say, when they started their family, it might have been in an apartment, and then it gradually becomes a house and a bigger house. So we need to get people on the ladder.
Man, isn't that the truth? And we do need folks to be able to do things,
Mhm.
plumbers, heating and air conditioning, electrical, roofing, painting. And, when they don't have a place to live, they have to travel too far and it costs too much. And so you're right that we do need the balance between the high end and the medium end, let's call it, and the opportunity for folks. That's why we created our Path to Home Ownership program to help deserving families, regardless of credit or financial background, to end up with home ownership. And we work with folks in the high end as well because they aren't loved by the banks. So
Mhm.
we give them an opportunity at home ownership as well. So it's a really gratifying business. You just feel good about making money because you're also helping people as well. Yeah, I really appreciate that. And, the distinction of the need for that. What are you seeing in LA? Are there any opportunities for that?
For
Workforce housing.
I don't see workforce housing as a term that's used much. They call it affordable housing, and there are tax incentives. There are other motivating factors. I believe the state issued they passed something that basically made it less restrictive to build more units on a single property. So that does encourage more density. And obviously, if you can build 10 units, you can bring down the cost per door, as they say. So I see some shifts, but not to the degree that we really, really need. So the answer is not really. I think that there needs to be a much more concerted effort to see the long-term benefit of converting, for instance, unused office space. Okay, now to do it, maybe the conversion isn't economically sound for a developer or for a company, but if they partner with the city or the state and they finish it, they add 1,000 units and do a joint venture, it will come back tenfold over time with tax revenue, increasing the value of that area, and on and on and on. So we need greater public and private partnerships. How that will unfold, it's hard to say. I feel this city and state is shifting a little bit from, it's been a democratically held supermajority, and I don't believe it's parties that are the problem. It's just politics itself and bureaucracy. So I'm hoping that we see a shift saying, let's find a way to get more people into housing, and so not enough, but we're seeing some macro changes.
Amen. Amen. That's a good thing. And definitely with the opportunity zones that
Mhm.
now there's 8,800 opportunity zones around the country,
Yeah, for
and
sure.
something that you guys that are watching us today, you can look into because it might make a whole lot of sense to find one of those areas, one of those zip codes that you can invest in and eliminate your capital gains over a 10-year period of time. So it's very attractive to be able to play in that world. Myself, I like touching, feeling, valuing, and purchasing and monetizing the next day. So
Mhm.
I like stuff that's already built, but for some
Mhm.
folks, they want to go down that path of new construction. We are going to build houses in Texas, and that's another whole story, but definitely it's an exciting thing. Now, your typical client as a real estate agent, does who does that look like?
We work with everyone. First-time buyers, people relocating. We have a lot of clients that are downsizing as well. We have a number of seniors moving to senior living residencies, and they're super excited. They've lived in homes that are now larger than they need, and they're looking forward to that community, being around people, and it's really kind of great to see this enthusiasm because my perception is it's kind of like, oh, well, we're going here, we're reluctant or being, it's kind of a requirement because of where they are in life, but it's actually been the opposite. They're excited to looking forward to it. So across the whole spectrum, I would say we work with a variety of clients. We really want to provide we're a full service team, white glove team. So we're not looking for just help in here and put up a yard sign and take a few photos. We provide a lot from the assessments to helping with any type of renovations that need to get done. Through Compass, we can provide essentially interest-free loan for any renovations at upfront, so you don't have to take those out of pocket. So we work with pretty much everyone. I guess the
Mm.
only common denominator is that they're looking for someone to provide a lot of expertise and that we have a good working relationship, someone that we like, someone that believes that we're able to advise them, and then understanding how the fee structure works. And as you know, we're performance-based. Every realtor only makes money if they actually perform, and that's something I think people need to understand that working with a realtor doesn't cost it's unlikely it will cost you anything necessarily until there's a transaction. Even that can be negotiated.
Yeah, that's a very good point because really, if you're going to navigate this all by yourself, well, good luck with your program. There's a whole lot of tools and,
Yeah.
and technology out there that makes it a different world when you've got somebody like that, a professional that can really do the research for you if you don't have access to that yourself. Now, many of my licensees, they adopt our system and we provide access to all of that for them. So it really just depends on which angle you're coming at, whether it's a house for yourself or your first investment property, or what it might be that you're actually approaching the market and needing the services of someone like Michael. So when you are looking at the market as a whole right now, what are you seeing?
I would say overall, I would say the market is kind of muted. There isn't a ton of inventory. Prices are coming down, so that aspirational pricing is definitely feeling downward pressure. There is
Oh, I love
transactions.
that. Aspirational
Yes,
pricing is
yes.
feeling downward pressure.
I
I
mean, I
love
think
that.
inevitably it's always a sense of trying to find people. I kind of use the analogy, it's like the second love they have after their kids is their house, and they're hard pressed to say it's not beautiful or that it needs fixes. The amount of times we come into a house and say, "What about the fact we have 400 planted pots?" I'm like, "They're really nice, but not everybody it has a green thumb." I have to navigate these issues. Overall, I would say it's been a fairly transactions are relatively down, interest rates are relatively high, and the economy, although there are positive signs with the stock market, we are seeing, I say, we're on shaky foundations. And so I think people are a little reluctant to take a big leap. Those that need to sell because they want to sell life circumstances, they're going to sell and they're going to transact. The upper end of the market in LA has actually performed well, less volume, but actually more per price per transaction. So those that are kind of price insensitive or less necessarily interest rate insensitive, there's a lot of opportunity. And as you know, those that actually have money in the market can borrow against the money they have without actually having to do anything. So the more money you have, I hate to say it, the more flexible you have in how you're going to make decisions. But there is still opportunity because LA is so big. I can find someone a home, and I know this is still going to be a lot for anywhere between 600,000 and 700,000, which is what a starter home really goes for in the greater LA. There's areas outside of LA that are definitely less. Now that is a lot, but to accumulate 100 grand or maybe put down less or go through a program like yours, we also have grant programs we've been able to secure up to $50,000 towards the purchase. So there is a way to get into a home if you work with somebody, understand that not everything, there's this idea that everything's the symmetric, that everybody has access to the same information. They do to an extent, but there's also so much to navigate. Knowing where to look helps. And that's what we can do.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, I love to open the door to people's thinking
Mhm.
about down payments because it's not always just the cash that you have in the bank. There's so much more you can bring to the table. One of the things we offer is work for equity. So we'll allow people to actually take the property, quote, as is, and then we'll allow them to do some or all of the repairs to the
Oh,
home
wow.
and get credit towards their down payment. So whatever cash they have plus the credit we can give them that equals their down payment. But there's more because, maybe they've got an IRA or a 401k that they can borrow from, and that's more money they can bring to the
Mhm.
table. Or family money, we allow gifts and they can bring that money to the table. Or maybe their employer or a foundation will do matching funds. So there's so many different options. I think it's wise for people to really think outside the box when it
Yeah.
comes to, what is a down payment? Not necessarily just the cash in the bank.
I think they need to reframe, well, I can't afford a home as opposed to how can I afford a home?
There
And when
you go.
you take that approach, then you might realize what you need to do to develop the plan. I had a friend, we were casually talking. I said, you need to set up a separate bank account called Do Not Touch House Fund. And she actually, within 1 year, put enough money aside to buy a home. And she told me, I did this. I didn't really follow up. She says, thank you so much for encouraging me. And I did it. And she had a good income. So she was able to do it quicker. But I think I don't know the stat on it, but I think if you ask the average person who lives in LA how long you intended to rent for, it's probably 3 times where they are in their current rental. So this
Mhm.
perception that, oh, 5 years, oh, I'm going to be here for a year, 5 years later. And so if you had set aside that money, and I go on, I try not to badger people, but when I say if you spend, I don't know, let's use a round number, 4 grand a year, a month in rent, that's $250,000 over 5 years. I hope my math is right. But
Mhm.
that's a lot of money. And I realize 4 grand is a lot, but quite frankly, that's not uncommon in Los Angeles. Working through the numbers, understanding what you're spending and what you're getting, some people don't take the time to do it because, quite frankly, it's a lot to sort of digest.
Mhm. Amen. Amen. That's great advice. Yeah, the do not touch fund. The
Mhm.
do not touch house fund. I like that plan. That's another open door. We even do a VIP plan. We call
Yeah,
it house on layaway. And rather than them holding on to the money, they send it to us every pay period, and we help them build their account to be able to have that money, and we can see them coming too. So as it's building up, then we can say, okay, it's time for us to go find you a house, and and you know
that's great.
and and participate in the process, right?
Well, we're about to see the largest wealth transfer in history,
Mhm.
excess between 50 and 80 trillion dollars. And I don't know how you can do it, but if you have family that's willing to give you a gift and help you on that path, that ladder of owning real estate, better do it now. Quite frankly, you all get to enjoy it. If you finally have a place where you can have company or you even let your parents or in-laws stay with you if you're so nice, wouldn't that be wonderful? And I think there's this reluctance to think, I'll wait, when you inherit this money. But quite frankly, a gift that you can both enjoy is way better than one that you do it on your own. So I know that's going to happen. I'm already seeing it happen. But I think that there needs to be maybe some incentive for it to happen so that money that's locked away is actually released to encourage people to buy homes, expand their homes, add ADUs. So there's the whole ADU thing going on,
Mhm.
additional dwelling units or accessory dwelling units, just basically a separate home on a property. It's not easy to do. The idea that you can just go ahead and whip up a house, it's not. It's really hard. It's probably the hardest thing a person could take on as a project in the scope of projects that the average person does. There's so much that goes into it, but you could make it more turnkey. And if you could create better loan programs around it, there's systems that could be built to encourage people to do it.
Brilliant. Well, I do agree with you that there's a lot of opportunity for sure. And guys, whenever you are out there thinking about buying a property, now is the right time. Exactly as Michael said, because this thing called inflation.
Yeah.
Inflation has always been with us. It always will be with us, and it guarantees you an increase in the value of the property over time. And you're absolutely right. $250,000 in rent that could have gone towards the
Yeah.
payments on a home over time where you're paying down and paying off that mortgage.
Yes.
And that's lost to you if you've paid it out in rent.
I mean, it's very relative. Obviously, other cities have a lower cost to entry, and that's just how it goes. But you really got to crunch the numbers, and we need to also provide protection because people are reluctant. Why buy a place and I can't afford it? You want to give them some type of certainty or some type of fallback, whatever that may look like. During the housing crisis, a lot of stuff felt that it wasn't properly handled, but people also got loans they couldn't afford. But there could have been a better mechanism. Not my expertise, but either way, I'm all for getting people into housing. And I think there's a lot of versatility. There's a saying, you do what few are willing to do today so I can live like few can in the future. And there is a little simple analogy, just what sacrifices are you willing to make now? If you're a young person, can you get a roommate? So you buy a place, then you have a roommate or two. What's the big deal? It could be any number of ways of kind of getting yourself on the ladder and making money. And I use the term ladder as like because I think that people don't appreciate. I often joke, there's a saying, you wait 30 years to get your first tattoo, and then wait 3 days to buy your second. And I haven't got any, but that's what I can see those who do it. But the same thing was real estate. When you buy a place, 5 years later, you put up, there's suddenly all this equity in your home, and you're going to get a HELOC or you're going to refinance, you're going to have cash. You're going to realize, wow, this tax-free money I can use to buy something. Why not put it towards something I know is already getting me returns? And so that's why I think the latter is a great mechanism, a metaphor for real estate. You don't have to think about the home you're going to live in there forever. I get that too. It's not perfect. The average person transacts homes between 7 and 12 years. LA is actually longer, but people move. They do move around for a variety of reasons. So this home is not going to be necessarily your home you live in forever.
Amen. That's great advice. And definitely, you're right. That opportunity to pay off that loan over time
Mhm.
with worth less dollars. Guys,
Mhm.
here's the whole thing about
Yeah.
inflation is it
Yeah.
makes your dollars worth less and you're paying off the loan with worth less dollars. How
I
good
like
is that?
that. I never heard that before. It's true. I think people also don't appreciate because I always say there's never a perfect time. If the interest rates are coming or fluctuating, everybody gets. I actually had a thought about this. Don't look at the news when you're buying real estate. Look at what you can afford and what you want and what's out there. Because if everybody suddenly has more buying power, then you're going to be up against more competition. And to your point, it's the only instrument that locks you in for 30 years at a fixed payment forever. There's nothing else that exists that you can buy on that in that way. Or you wait and the value of the home you're thinking about buying, it did appreciate 5%. Now you have to pay that with the next when you wait. So again, we're in the same we're drinking the same Kool-Aid. We both agree. It's encouraging people to think a little bit more long term. I think that's the biggest thing. Really think on a 5 to 10 year horizon. And yeah, real estate might not seem perfect right now. I'm paying property tax, I'm paying other things that come with it. I have to save money for a rainy day if I need to fix things. But when you step back and you say, 5 years, 10 years, when I run the numbers and I show the appreciation on even a conservative level, people shake their head. I shake my head at the value you can accumulate because, especially because you're leveraged debt. And it's not for everybody you don't need to be an expert. Just understand this is how it's gone for the past 100 or so years.
Well, and on the flip side, when you're an investor, you
Mhm.
get the benefit of being hedged against inflation. So
Sure.
as that property goes up in value, so goes your rents. If you're smart and you're looking at the market and knowing your dollars are worth about 3% less
No.
each year, year after year, then you've got to raise the rents to keep up. And hey, they're not moving anyway. So you need to definitely monetize your business and hedge yourself against inflation. Well,
Work.
you get that as an investor, you
Yeah.
don't get that as a renter.
It's a scary time also when you look at the cost of inputs to build housing. I believe that properties are now selling below the cost to make them. to build them
Mm.
from the ground up, especially some of the multifamily, not multifamily, some of the commercial buildings that just aren't being able to fill with
Mhm.
tenants. But I still think that may be the case soon with residential, where the price doesn't make logical sense. I know some of the luxury homes that are being built after the Palisades fire and the Eaton fire, the prices are just almost more money to build than to buy. And now that we're having, cost restrictions on products and people, quite frankly, they're only going to go up more. That means the housing stock is going to be worth more because, quite frankly, it's more expensive to make it. I don't see the tides turning anytime soon. And I also think that people need to appreciate there would be nothing wrong if they dropped tens of thousands of workforce housing or variety of housing in LA. It won't bring down the value of the real estate. It'll probably bring it all up because now you have more demand, you have more people buying things. Therefore, there's more. Although I do have a degree in economics, it's been a long time. It would all be positive. Because the
Mm.
reality is, although Austin maybe is seeing a little bit of a slowdown, they've seen nothing but growth for a decade. So there's this oh, well, year over year, growth is down. Don't do year over year, do decade over decade, and now you have a big picture. But the news is better to be sensationalized, like, oh, look what happened. If you take a step back, sorry, it's all good. Now, if you bought in at the peak, yeah, that doesn't feel good, but you still bought in a wonderful appreciating market.
Well, Michael, I think you put your finger on a really important thing, and that's the thing called trends. The
Mm,
media always has to have something to talk
sure,
about.
of
And so,
course.
what they do is if things are going a certain way, then they start to change the conversation to make it go another way so they have something to write about.
I,
And unfortunately, people follow them and start believing the story, the narrative, and then flocking like lemming in a different direction when they should have just got with it and stuck with it. That's my favorite saying is get with it and stick with it. You can't help but win.
even Warren Buffett, the greatest investor of our time, says like he can't time the market. So why do other people think they can time? What he looks is for value. He looks for something that he believes is worth more than the market feels it is worth. He looks for again, I'm using it as an example, but the same thing applies to Los Angeles. The market is so big that you need to just look at it from a holistic perspective and ask yourself, and I have some basic parameters that I look for, and this is probably the same for Atlanta. I would say find a place that you want to live, find a place that's near opportunity, and what that might be a hospital. They're not going anywhere. A university, they're not going anywhere. Other institutions that attract a workforce. And then obviously, if you could be near public transportation or a variety of other things, like there are parts of the city that are going to see more appreciation, more growth, and then decide if that's the right spot for you. And I think if you think about it holistically, you're pretty confident you're making the right decision. And even then, I mean, there's always risk associated with it, but it's pretty limited.
Wow, that is such great advice. Definitely find the place that you want to be and
Hmm.
then start looking around and seeing what you can find. And when you've got the services of a great real estate support like Michael, man, they'll help you dig around and find some things that you might not have access to find on your own as well.
For sure.
So definitely getting the help of a new team member is a good idea, and building that team as you are acquiring assets, building your estate, building your net worth over
Hmm.
time. Hey, and we happen to be in a great business. We've figured it out that you can't go wrong. Michael, you've been amazing today. Now, how do people contact you?
Quite simply, they can reach out through my website, which is AMRE, AMRE.group. You can also go to social media where michaelabraham.realtor is my handle. Feel free to reach out. Happy to discuss any real estate needs you have. Quite frankly, I enjoy talking about this stuff. I enjoy helping. So there is no request that's too big or too small. In the end, if I can just point someone in the right direction, whether or not I work with them or they find someone else to work with, my advice is just find someone, a realtor that you like working with, find a bank that you can work with, set a plan up, and then get going, and you'll be happy you did.
Amen. Amen. Such great advice, and definitely something that you've got a future. all of you that are paying attention to us today have an opportunity. And my advice, and I know Michael's advice would be, hey, get it as soon as you possibly can, cause things to happen in your world and take action. And when you do that, you can have an amazing future as well. So thanks again, Michael. We appreciate you and looking forward to seeing you again real soon. Yeah, baby. Thanks for tuning in to the whole enchilada of real estate investing. I hope you're feeling ready to take your investing game to the next level. If you're serious about building wealth, you won't want to miss the Millionaire Jumpstart. It's a 3-day live event that's perfect for any level of investor. Whether you're just getting started or you're looking to scale, this can be one of the final steps of making real wealth happen. So, what are you waiting for? Enroll now at millionairejumpstart.com and get ready to make big moves in your real estate journey. I'm Lou Brown. Until next time, keep hustling and remember, it's not about how much you make, it's about how smart you play the game.